How much is your eyesight worth? And if you lost it, how much would you pay to restore it? Well, Daniel Daly, an 8-year-old boy from Cloughan in County Offaly, could be returned the gift of sight if some breakthrough stem cell research and treatment is successful. But, like anything else, it will come at a price. His dad, Fergus, is here to share his story with you. Fergus, you're very welcome to the programme.
Thanks very much.
Let's go back to December 2008. Up until then, what was Daniel's life like?
Daniel was a very happy-go-lucky little fella. He was full of life, loved school, very easygoing chap.
Interested in sports and active and so on?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. He's flying around the yard on his scooter.
No problems, no health warnings?
No
nothing.
Problems at all.
So what happened?
Basically what happened, he just, within the space of maybe 2 days, he got a pain in his stomach and he was brought to the doctor, and the doctor had a look at him and didn't think there was any big problems wrong with him, so we brought him home, and that was a Friday, and then on a Saturday he slowly went downhill very, very quickly.
Downhill in what fashion? His energy levels?
His energy levels, he started, he wouldn't get out of bed in the morning and he'd just sit up, and we said if it's still like this, we'd have to bring him to the mid-hoc, and sure enough, he gradually got worse and worse, and he wouldn't even sit up in the bed. So by 4 o'clock in the afternoon, we had to bring him to the mid-hoc.
Okay, so it became apparent that there was more than just a pain in the stomach at work here. And you must have been very alarmed at that point.
At this stage, we didn't realise what was happening, so we brought him down to Portiuncta, our local hospital, and they had a look, and they were very quick to diagnose what the problem was.
And the problem was leukemia?
The problem was leukemia, yeah. So we found out maybe around 7, 8 o'clock that evening that Daniel was seriously ill and he was going downhill rapidly. So
quickly? Like
very,
that?
very quickly. Within the space of we brought him down to casualty before, and it was always nothing. It was, at this time it was something, we didn't realise even at that stage how serious it was, but as the evening went on, things started to look bad, and they insisted in that he be transferred to Crumlin.
So within 48 hours, your whole world was turned upside down?
Even less. Even less than that,
And how much did you know about leukemia?
We knew nothing about it. Like the day before he got sick, it was the Friday, he was in school and done a full day in school, and the next day he was in Portiuncta. So
leukemia in itself, there is a broad range of conditions.
There's many different types,
yeah.
As far from what I know of it, there's many different types of it, but Daniel is what's called ALL. So,
and that means, in a nutshell?
Well, I'm not sure the exact details of it
right,
now, but
okay.
It's serious enough. It's a disorder of the blood. That's
right.
what it is. And it's cancer of the blood. So he was transferred to Crumlin, and at this stage he was still getting worse and worse and worse, and by the time he got to Crumlin he had to be immediately put into intensive care, where he spent 2 weeks in intensive care.
And what were you told would be the outlook for Daniel?
The outlook wasn't good. They said at best, if he survives, that's if, and the chance of survival was very slim. So they said they'd done an MRI on him, and which showed he had 3 brain clots on his brain, and he hemorrhaged into his eyes as well.
Yeah.
So within the space of 2 to 3 days, he got worse and worse and worse, and they gave him no hope. The doctors there said if he comes out of this, he'll be severely brain damaged at best. So within the space of 4 or 5 days, he gradually, slowly improved, little by little. And
loads
done
of
another
prayers
MRI
and
scan,
loads of hope. And
another MRI scan in a week after being admitted. And they found the brain clots to slightly reduce. So with that...
So the brain clots were receding anyway?
Yeah, they were receding.
And he was showing signs of improvement?
Yeah, they were showing slight signs of improvement. So he spent a total of 14 days in intensive care, and they decided at that stage then that they would try to remove him from the intensive care and down to St. John's Ward in Crumlin. And
what has your journey been like since then? Because obviously he has defied the odds to get to where he is now, but how strong is he today?
He has to be a very strong-willed little fella to do what he's done. He just has to be, because he left the intensive care unit with the only thing he could do was hear. He couldn't eat, he couldn't see, he couldn't walk, and he couldn't talk. So he had to be fed through a tube and it took maybe 2 days to take him out of the coma that he was in. And he woke up in a world that he just did not know where he was. And but slowly but surely he's turned it around, and the brain damage that they feared didn't materialise.
Good.
And
but he obviously had to be nursed and cared
oh,
for
absolutely,
pretty intensively over
not
the
only
last
that,
2 years.
Not only that, he had to start a chemotherapy program, which was very intensive and extremely, even on a person that would be well, it was extremely difficult to take.
Yeah, I've seen adults go through chemotherapy. And it's
absolutely.
Very tough.
And
I can't imagine for it.
You know, an adult wouldn't be able to take some of the drugs he took.
He would have been 6 when this started.
Yeah, he was just turned 6. Yeah, and he was so ill. His white cell blood count was just so high. There's, of all the children they've had in Crumlin, they've never seen it so high. Normally, he would survive the levels of white cells that was in his blood. So,
what effect did that have on the family?
Well, sure, the family was broken up because we wound up having to take our turns staying in Crumlin and nurse him. Someone had to stay with him 24/7, so we used to take it 2 days a turn. I'd come up and my wife would go home, and she'd come up and I'd go home, and somebody had to mind the kids in the meantime. All the trips up and down, so... Yeah,
I don't know, Fergus, it's a great reality check. You know, you think you have problems, and then you hear a story like yours.
Yeah, you hear people crying about the recession. They don't know nothing about recession. Have you had your eyesight taken from you? And maybe more. You know, it could have been worse, but luckily enough, it hasn't been any worse.
The outlook now, then, we'll come to the eyesight in a moment, but has his health stabilised?
His health is stabilised now. He's pulled it back, and he's grown quite a bit now in 2 years. He put on lots of weight to go with it, and he's a healthy-looking chap now. If you met him, you wouldn't know the difference. You would never tell he had leukemia. So.
And what about day-to-day life? Is he in school, for instance?
Absolutely, yeah. He's in mainstream school. He's in Cloughan National School.
Doing well?
Doing absolutely very well. He's very good, I have to say. That's the one thing that's going from him, is he's very good in school, and he's very interested in learning anything that's to be learned, and he's learning Braille. And
there was a bit of a knock, though, a few weeks ago, I believe. In the school, his Braille was taken.
All the laptops, computers were stolen out of school, and there was one there, especially for Daniel, with these programs on it that's from the NCBI, and it was taken.
Right, so which would be of little use to anybody else, really.
Absolutely no use to nobody, but I'd imagine the people that took it didn't realise that, so...
It wouldn't have been apparent at the time. They just took the laptop and figured, right, we can turn this into money and absolutely, to hell with whoever owns it.
Yeah.
Now, on the subject of his eyesight, and that's the main reason you're in here today.
Yeah.
This stem cell prospect, how did that come about? How did you research it?
Well, there's not a lot of research done yet on the stem cells, other than Daniel is still in what's called a maintenance program, and he has another year to go in the maintenance program, which means Daniel can't receive any stem cells until he finishes his maintenance program, which is another year away minimum. But the doctors in Crumlin are of the belief that it'll take something like stem cell to repair the damage that's done, if it can be done. Because now he's had surgery on his eyes to try and relieve the problems that was there, but it wouldn't work. It just was gone too far.
So this is experimental to some extent?
It would be experimental, yeah, but they're very hopeful that there is and will be something there in the future, so that's what we're aiming at, not necessarily in the next few weeks or the next few months. It could be a year down the road. It'll definitely be at least a year down the road, if not 2, and maybe 3, maybe 4. We'll have to just wait until the right procedure is there for him.
Okay, but the hope would be that sooner or later the sight can be restored. Yeah. But it won't be restored free of charge, obviously. These things cost money.
No, it won't be done in this country. So when you leave the country, then you'll have to have your own funds to pay for all this. And
where is the treatment available?
There's some treatment available in China. What it is at the minute, we're not sure. We have done a small bit of research on it and had some contact with a hospital in China, but they were not interested in doing that with Daniel because he was in a maintenance program. He'd have to finish that regardless before they would entertain. There's also hospitals in the US which we would love to go to and get him looked at there as well.
I don't suppose you're a millionaire in your spare time, Fergus?
No, I'm afraid I'm not.
So
no, unless we win the lotto, I'm afraid it could be a pipe dream at the minute.
That leads you to fundraising, though.
We have to fundraise, yeah.
Have you even a ballpark cost?
We've, I'd imagine we would probably need somewhere between 50 and 100,000.
So you lead some significant fundraising measures.
Yeah.
Have you anything lined up?
Well, we have, there's a tractor run coming up in the next, this weekend, and all is welcome. Anything antique, it doesn't matter whether it's a tractor, a car, a motorcycle, anything is, everything is welcome.
Yeah, you're taking in quite a route. You leave Cloughan, travel through Shannon Bridge. There's slightly changes to the there's
the route.
Been a route rediversion.
Just because it was a little bit, it turned out to be a bit long, and it would take, maybe some of the old tractors wouldn't make the full journey, so
right.
we decided to cut it short a little bit. So we're going to start in Cloughan at 10 o'clock, and we'll go there to Verban, and from Verban to Moat, and where there'll be a stop in Moat for maybe an hour, roughly around 1 o'clock. At the Well in Moat there will be a stop, and we'll continue on then to Clara from Moat and into Tullamore, and we'll try and park some of the vehicles there at the GAA Centre, and there will be another stop at Brian Dagnan's pub in Tullamore, and hopefully then return to Cloughan.
Okay, so if you notice a lot of tractors in your area then at the weekend, and you're in those areas mentioned, then it's all in aid of trying to give an 8-year-old boy back his eyesight.
Absolutely, yeah. That's basically what it's all about.
What sort of spirits is he in now?
At the minute, he's in very good spirits. You know, he's all excited for this tractor run. He can't wait to hear it happening and going down, and he's making his communion in the week after, so he's very excited about that. He's absolutely non-stop talking about making his communion. And
so is he enjoying all this fuss
absolutely,
being made about him?
He loves to be on the go and hearing and seeing what he can, and getting her out and about. He loves to be out and about, meeting people. He's a great man to talk, so he chats and chats and chats.
All right. You have a big mountain in front of you, Fergus, in terms
of
fundraising, but I suppose in many ways it pales in comparison to the mountain that you've just climbed.
Yeah, and I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all our sponsors, the people who have donated money to Daniel, and all the people that helped organise this event. There's a huge lot of organisation involved, more than most people would even think of, and I'd like to thank all them.
Okay. Fergus Daly, a pleasure to have you in studio.
Thanks very much
for joining us.
Thank you.